Welcome to the Construction Pals podcast, brought to you by LinqPal, your source for the latest in the construction world. Hard hats off, headphones on, and let's get started.
All right. Hi, I'm Jason. I'm the host of the podcast. Welcome to another episode of Construction Pals, where we bring together industry experts and community members to talk about all the important issues in the construction industry. In our next two episodes, we will have a roundtable discussion with Mark Mitchell, also known as the Wizard of Building Materials, Sales and Marketing, and Yaser Masoudnia, the CEO of LinqPal. Today's topic or episode title is Small Business, Big Sales, How to Grow Your Building Materials Business. And to start, Mark, thank you immensely for being with us. And maybe tell us a little bit about yourself and your epic, long-standing career in the space today.
That's a big word, epic. No, I started out. I started out in the late '70s in working for an advertising agency that only did building materials, and my first client was Owens Corning. And it was great because I got to do things that were commercial, residential, new construction, remodel, retrofit. I got to work with technical products like pipe insulation or aesthetic products, maybe like roofing shingles. And so I really got to understand how important the channel of distribution is in building materials. That I continue to see today. People make mistakes and they think, well, I'll just communicate to the homeowner about this product or the building owner and they'll buy it. And they don't realize there's a distributor and a contractor and an architect, a facilities manager, all different kinds of people. And so that's where I've really spent my career, is focusing on the channel of distribution. Who are these people? Who are the decision makers? And who are the influencers? And how do you identify which is the right one for your company? And then most importantly, how to communicate with them with the right message that will be important to them.
And you talk about some very important items there, right? Communication is a key one. Understanding the channel and the main components. When you think about Yaser Masoudnia, who I'm going to ask to introduce himself in a moment, for him, a lot of his background over the years has been customer perception, right? Is the reality? What are the pieces that go around that? So Yaser, maybe just, you could tell us a little bit about yourself. That would also be great.
Sure. Hello, everyone. I'm Yaser Masoudnia, CEO and co-founder of LinqPal. Prior to this company, I think we discussed it in previous episodes, I've been a general contractor in Northern Virginia, DC area, and later on in California. And throughout my career as a general contractor and builder, I've worked with a wide range of suppliers on East Coast and West Coast, and I've got to experience different level of services, different level of material suppliers who often create an experience for me as a builder that I feel appreciated. I feel like I'm their focus, and on the other hand, I've had some not pleasant experience as well. But I've tried to focus on a good experience and what I've learned and how some of these suppliers help us to push the project forward and to save a ton of time and resources when we are involved in a construction project.
And Mark, one of the key words there was experiences, right? Yaser's worked over time with a lot of suppliers. It's all about the experiential journey. And clearly, there's a lot of challenges in the industry today, especially when it comes to sales. You think about keeping up with changes, preparing for tomorrow, maybe not moving online fast enough. What are some of the biggest challenges you've seen in your experience to date as it relates to material suppliers and sales?
Well, this has been an industry that is very slow to change, very not eager to take on, not looking for new ideas, new products. Traditionally, has been very kind of like look, my father used this product. My father built this way. I've built this way. I've not had any problems. Why would I want to change? And that worked well until there's been a couple of changes. I mean, when I think about how long it took DuPont to get Tyvek house wrap accepted, it probably was 20 years till I remember when it first came out and people wrap your house in paper. Why do we need that? We don't need that. And then to come and see how fast fiber cement siding was accepted when it first came out, all the other cladding materials thought it was silly and stupid and no one will ever use fiber cement. And then boom, took them maybe 4 years. And then it seemed like Zip System and Huber came out of nowhere and it was like 2 years, boom, everything is green. And so we're seeing, that maybe the manufacturers are doing a better job of meeting the customer's needs. But the other one I really see is finally, the industry's woken up to all the tremendous amount of waste and inefficiency that's been baked into our system. You just kind of accept, oh, this is going to be remodeling my kitchen. It's going to be a nightmare. Oh, the builder told me the new house will be done, on October 1st. Who believes that, right? Or the commercial project, all of those things. And now we're all of a sudden waking up to it doesn't have to be that way. We can focus on reducing waste and inefficiency and getting the owner into the property sooner and at a higher quality. And so that's forcing people to rethink how they do things, be better planners, and maybe, heaven forbid, try a new idea. But I'm seeing that happening.
Mark, because if you think about blind spots, right? We all become blind to this, and it hurts us when it comes to rethinking and overcoming these challenges, right? We as a society are trying to savor surprises, understand what are the ideal jobs that need to be done for the customers, and how to prototype and really create a minimum, as we say, minimum awesome product. How do you see overcoming some of the challenges you just kind of described? And are they getting expedited more over time? Or are we still coming into this pattern of trying to find an equilibrium in the space?
Well, I always have this thing between, in building materials particularly, we have an industry where they don't have to be innovative. If you think about if you're in the high-tech industry, if you're Panasonic or Samsung or Apple or somebody, every 6 months you've got to have a new, better idea. You can't sit back and say, well, we got this Apple Watch here, see, and we'll just sell this for 10 years, okay? Well, you can't do that. And the building materials industry hasn't had pressure on it to innovate. And so I see the smaller companies at a real competitive advantage today. I see the bigger companies very slow to adapt things like maybe selling online, okay? Because we'll upset our channel. Or if we try a new product, that'll actually cannibalize the sales of our existing products. And we make the most money by keeping our plants running 24/7. So why would we introduce a new product? So I see the smaller companies at an advantage, and I think it's going to be a real challenge for some of our larger, well-known companies that are not particularly innovative.
And on that note, right, if you think how contractors and builders, you look at the challenges and you look at the capabilities you just mentioned, these smaller businesses' capability to scale and support customers, but really selecting building materials and how to become a preferred supplier. Now, we know that depends on the type of construction you're asking about, right? And it varies between building construction and the design teams, et cetera. But what's your take on that when it comes to truly selecting building materials and becoming a preferred supplier in general?
Well, I think that there's two important points there. One is almost everybody, you go and look at an architect today and they will cut and paste specs from the last 5 jobs that worked. They don't have time to start with a blank piece of paper. So if they've used a particular brand of, they're doing a hotel, a particular brand of interior doors, and it worked fine the last 5 projects, nobody's unhappy, boom, they'll just stick that in there. And so if you now have a different material, That's going to take a little while. Well, one, you want to find the customer that's most open to trying a new idea, not just calling anybody. And the other big part of this is most, I think, building material customers tend to look and say, if you will, in general, we'll say a roof membrane is a roof membrane. Okay. This one has a little better properties. This one has this little lower price, but they all have to fit within a range of acceptable performance and price. And once you fit within there, okay, you're probably an accepted option. Now, the real competitive advantage today is how the level of service you provide your customer. And so I've seen since the last recession, we'll say 2008, it really affected the building materials industry. And each recession is different, but everybody thinks it's going to affect them. But you have to kind of give it a second and see what it's really going to do. Like we all thought last March that we're going to have a recession because of COVID, and it was going to really affect building materials. And it didn't really happen. But so what happened was they cut back all these people. They cut all their expenses because sales were way down. And as they started to come back, they kind of took an attitude that says, well, I've got to make back that money that I would have made if we hadn't had a recession, right? So I'm not going to add back the customer service people I had, the technical service, the shipping clerks, the whatever. And so maybe they used to have 3 people that were customer service people. So if you called up, somebody could answer a phone, get you an answer, or respond to your email. Well, they cut that back to 1. And then as their business grew back and even exceeded where they were before then, they haven't added more people. And I consistently hear from dealers, builders, contractors, anybody that's dealing with a manufacturer, how poor the customer service level is. And like literally, I met with the CEO of a very large distributor of drywall, and we were having lunch. And I said, "Hey, what advice would you give to a company that wanted to be a better supplier to you?" And he says, "Really easy. Just do what you say." He says, "It's that bad." Okay. He said, "Can you imagine how important a customer I am to a lot of companies? And can I get them to even do what they say? Like, next Wednesday at 10 a.m., a truck will arrive here with the product." Nope. So right there, just providing, that extra level of service is a big differentiator that I find today that most companies are not taking advantage of.
And I think this is an ample opportunity, right, Yaser, to turn it over to you for a second. One, to say, hey, given that service and service quality is the essence of LinqPal, maybe to speak on that for a second, but also from a selection of a supplier perspective, right, as a builder and your experience as a builder, how would you choose a favorite supplier? So maybe if you could take those in 2 parts would be great.
I think there were 2 points to remarks, and that I really it's music to my ear. One part of it is around how the market, how this industry has been reacting to new products. The good news is with the existence of social media, as a custom builder or custom home builder, I see that my customers are asking for the new products. I see they are excited about how we can improve our energy efficiency, how we can achieve this new look. And those are all requires some new products, new methods that in most of cases, I either need to do my research online and then reach out to my suppliers and ask, who has this material? How can you help me to achieve that my customer needs? And what if it's around using, for instance, zips? I learned about zip system from a customer who was asking about how can I improve the energy efficiency, and I started looking into it, and I found about zip system. That was my first interaction, and then I'll look into it, talk to my suppliers, and got more information, and eventually I got it involved. I got to use it for the first project, and now it's everywhere in all my projects. So one is that demands in the market that's different nowadays. and it's coming from consumer. It's coming from to some extent from builder contractors who want to build differently, who want to differentiate their products. That is important. The other part of it is around the service, as Mark mentioned, the service we get from our suppliers. It happened to me that I was introduced to some siding material when the supplier visited me at the job site and saw my conversation with my framer and said, by the way, you know what I can offer you, and that's going to be answer to your basically answer to your praise and your request from the framer. And then they introduced a new siding material that I'd never heard of. So those level of I would say putting me as a center of the attention when it comes to the supplier as their customers, especially as a trade customers, as a person who I go to them on a weekly basis. I need to talk to them on a weekly basis with my suppliers to get new pricing, to get new specs, to get ask question about how we can deploy and implement something new product or new method and techniques. That attention to me, how fast I can get hold of someone, how fast they can go to the manufacturer, get the answer for me and get back to me. These are the elements that makes them my preferred supplier, even if it's yes, for everyone, price is the main thing, and everyone is competing on price. But more importantly, at that level of service, that would help me to succeed in my business as a general contractor, and that is what differentiate my preferred supplier from other suppliers.
Yes.
And Mark, the angle there that Yaser's talking about and getting to is it's going beyond merely communicating to connecting with people. And if you think about long-term relationships, right? Customer service is the new marketing. That's a fact today in many ways. You've got to be savvy with marketing. Without customer service, you have nothing. But for the long term, especially with building material suppliers, and I certainly haven't seen a lot of these types of dynamic discussions out there to provide this guidance. I mean, to what Yaser just talked about with his experience, what does that blueprint look like, or what does the roadmap look like to developing those customer relationships on the building material supplier side?
Well, I think, I always tell people, instead of being in a hurry to make a sale, take your time to really learn about this customer. One of the things that I have a set of questions that I ask everybody that I talk with, if they're a contractor, an architect, whoever. I'm interviewing people all week long, and I will tend to ask them, who are your 3 favorite suppliers? Ones that if someone came in at a lower price, you would have to think twice before you walked away from them. And who are they, and what makes the difference? And the other question I will ask them is many times, what do building material companies, what is their biggest misconception? And so last year I heard from a builder, and he just said, "Oh, it's easy. Building material salespeople trying to sell me as a builder something, I can tell they think all builders are the same. That they walk into my office as if I'm a builder, so that makes me this." And and this builder is very unique. This builder builds 600 homes a year. This builder is an on your lot builder, which is an unusual type of builder. And he's like, if they went to my website, they could quickly tell, a little bit about me, and they would tell that I'm different than the guy down the street or the guy they called on this morning. But yep, they just look. And so if you take your time to understand, what is it, for example, if you're calling on a builder, what is a builder? How do they make money? How do they lose money? What are their greatest problems they're having today? And then take the next step and say, what makes this builder different or unique? Now you can walk in and talk about intelligently how you might be able to help them be more successful.
This is great. I mean, we always talk about the value of asking good questions and really being thought-provoking, right? I mean, there's a lot of misconceptions out there, and always try to have, like, regardless of industry, the eyes of kind of a traveler, in the sense of, you take a familiar situation and view it as if it was fresh and new. And even in this industry, right? And that's, Yaser and I talk about this all the time. And that's the essence of, again, what some of the things LinqPal is trying to do. And there's no greater scenario of that than what we've gone through the last year during COVID-19. And things are starting to come back to life. You see a little bit of movement behind me here in New York City. How did the COVID-19 pandemic shift and change the way that sales are done in this industry from what you've seen kind of over this trying time for all of us?
Well, I think what they did was what COVID did was it accelerated what was already happening. Okay? We already were moving toward doing things smarter, more effectively and efficiently. Instead of I just get in my car and make calls on people until somebody says yes, and so that we were been headed toward doing things a little more efficiently, and it just sped it up. It just forced it to happen, and so and so when we say like we're coming out, it's going to be funny because many customers, I was interviewing architects last week, and they were all talking about how much they like the fact that they now can have fewer meetings, that they can have a Zoom call. They like to meet with reps. They need to meet with reps, but they also, their biggest the thing that they value the most now is their time. And so if somebody comes to see them, it's kind of like, well, I got to give them an hour and it'd be nice and all this other stuff. And I really need 10 minutes of their time to get the question answered. And if I can do that on a Zoom call, then why not? That would be better. So I think we're going to see a lot of salespeople who are raring to go are going to be a little disappointed when customers are like, hey, you don't need to, no, we can do this over the phone. I still love you. I love your product, love you, but there's no need for you to come see me. So I think, we're going to see, smarter use of people's time. And I think about just all the travel expenses and time that would traditionally be wasted or not very effective. So I think that, and the other thing is the online tools of getting people to come to your website, then getting them to say, hey, I'm interested. So they're coming to you as opposed to you're out knocking on doors, cold calling people about your product or service. So I think those are the two big things that have really accelerated their adoption in the last year, and they're here to stay with us. I mean, we're still going to have trade shows. We're still going to go make live calls on people and so forth, but it's going to be a little different.
Yeah, and a simple analogy of that too, right? Just again, moving forward and accelerating the path. It doesn't matter if a glass is half full or half empty. If you think you can make a better glass, you have the capability of making a better glass. And it's a simple euphemism of saying this is kind of where we're going. And I'm excited, Mark. This was a great first segment, and we're going to continue in the next episode to kind of talk a little bit more about how we tear down the construction industry's comfort zone. So thank you for episode 1 of 2, and we'll join you shortly for the next one.
Been great.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe for more episodes like this. For more information on Construction Pals podcast and LinqPal, please visit LinqPal.com.